everyone. We are live tonight with a guest that I've wanted to get on for quite some time. The glass is coming off because I have two round orbs for eyes, and his name is Jonny. He is the manager of Maidenhead Aquatics Blackpool. He's a friend of mine that I was very fortunate to meet through Harry, the fish keeping Ginge, and I filmed a video with him yesterday. So we're going to get Jonny on now, just sorting the ring light so it doesn't look weird, the lighting. There you go. Right. Jonny, welcome to the stage. Let's add you now. Hello, Jonny.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
Welcome in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Oh, you busted out your best shirt.
Oh, yeah. I've even put aftershave on thinking you might be able to smell me.
Oh, maybe through the screen. Hopefully not. I'm kidding. I'm sure.
Just see if I can...
Smells nice. Just going to close my door real quick. Oh. Sneak peek of the aquascape. Whoa. Cover that up. I'm sure the odd few people that are in here now have probably seen some sneak peeks, including yourself. But yeah, just
The only thing I need to look at.
Didn't realise this live was black tie. Jonny Rizgold. How are you, Jonny?
I'm good. I'm just trying to figure out the audio because it's very quiet coming out of my phone.
I'm trying to think.
Even though it's on full volume.
Might be in settings. So I assume a couple of years were already in Jack's live. I did pit stop earlier, said hello to a couple of people, and then had to bolt. Obviously, I was getting prepared for this, and I was also gluing down some moss to the wood in the new tank. I'm gonna shut up and listen. Hey, you can speak as much as you want, Martin. You're more than welcome to talk. I am blocking that off. There's a little sneak peek for everyone. I'll keep it as that. You can zoom in on the scape later when the live's finished. I might learn something. Have you figured out your audio yet?
I'm just seeing if my headphones are working, then I can actually hear you properly.
Okay. Your headphones should work. The wireless or wired?
Wireless.
Okay. How is everyone anyway? This is enhance, zoom in. Yeah, so we filmed the video yesterday, didn't we, Jonny? We had a good little revisit of the video that we done previously. There was issues with that video, of course, and with the audio. So thought we'd do a retake of that video, one a bit more suitable as well. To the audience, anyway. Don't know where he's gone. Well, it's just me. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, massive thanks to everyone as well for helping us reach 1.4K. Very happy about that. Hopefully, we'll get that 2,000 landmark by the end of the year. I'm hoping. It's quite ambitious because I started this year hoping to get 1K and now I'm after 2K. But I guess that the game's the game, isn't it? I wonder if Arnold's repping the merch tonight as well. I thought I'd get my t-shirt out. Jonny is sorting out his setup real quick. Hello, everyone. Oh, welcome, Joseph. My Slovakian friend from Liverpool. He is an aquascaper, and we're hoping to visit Joseph once he's sorted out all scapes. Obviously, he's been on holiday and a very busy man. He's an aquascaper. If you don't know him, he's on Instagram and he does some really cool scapes. He is a close friend as well of the Scouscaper, Michael. Doing good, mate. I was just telling Arnold. You've had a promotion. Oh, congratulations, mate. I'm going to be breaking the news, not on this live, but very soon. I'll be breaking the news on where my new job is because it will be public knowledge. The place will be posting my face, and I'm a little not worried, a little nervous for it because I assume I'm probably going to start meeting people through the job with school. I have my sweatshirt on today. They wash up great today. Oh, that's great. I'm glad that the quality is good. The t-shirt, of course, obviously, I've went for the most affordable option. I didn't go for like the highest quality. Hopefully, further down the line when the channel gets a little bigger, we'll be able to get the higher quality garments out. But I want to make sure that I do some cool designs. You've seen me experiment with the hoodie that I've done. But yeah, this is like a nice, simple quality, nice and comfy and relaxing. It's just a way to support the channel. At the end of the day, I'm making nothing. I'm making no money at all. Welcome to the chat, Sean. Nice to meet you. I haven't met you before, so it's great to see a new face in here as well. Now we found out he starts working at Maytag washing machine stuff. Jonny,
Yeah.
you there?
Hello, hello.
There you go. He's back now. Look at that beautiful scape. Great quality. Well, I'm glad that the jumpers and the hoodies are good. Nice to see Graham in here as well. Unsure if that is Aquarium Adventures or just another Graham, but nice to see you in here. We've got some new faces in. We're going to be covering some cool topics tonight, I believe, as well. I think we'll start off the live. I usually end the lives with Q&A, but I think the best way to get into the rhythm of things is maybe getting people to ask some questions of ourselves. So if you don't know, as I was just saying, I've done a little introduction for Jonny before I put him up on the stage. But Jonny is a manager of a fish shop. So if you've got any questions about that, obviously we covered some of them topics in the video we filmed. But of course, if anyone wants any live answers, of course, you can ask away. Nice to see Chloe in here as well, showing your support. Appreciate everyone in the Discord. Of course, we go to clear things up. I have no issues with anyone in the community. I go live when I possibly can, and I know that I'll probably step on people's toes. And it's just a case of there's so many people that go live on YouTube. As Harry explained in the Discord too, having ADHD. When you're ready to go, you're ready to go, and my brain was ready to go tonight. And of course, I've got a lot going on. I'm on holiday and stuff like that, and you've had to put your children to bed too. So we've had a little conversation about that earlier. But of course, I do apologise if I do step on any toes. But at the end of the day, if this is the only time I'm available to go live, it is what it is. But I'm glad to see that there's a bunch of people in here anyway. Get your questions in if you possibly can now. Ask away. Whatever you want to talk about. We've got 11 viewers now, so the viewer count is going up. I thought we'd do a landscape live this time around rather than the usual portrait ones, because I thought, you know what, it's a bit higher quality, and I feel like Jonny deserves that because I've been pestering him to get on a live or some kind of a video. So we finally got him. I had to hold him at gunpoint, but we got there eventually.
Yeah. I think as well, at least we can see a nice little background behind me as well.
Oh yeah. Mine's covered up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so
Sneak peek.
yeah, make sure to slap the like button as well. I can't see any of the ratings at all because we're on StreamYard tonight. As someone who doesn't know much about you, Matt, what's your speciality if you have one? Matt? Matt? I think you mean Jonny.
Oh, let me just check. Matt might
Okay.
be behind me.
Okay. I think Stefan's getting mixed up, thinking that you're fish. Yeah, you got the name wrong. Yeah, you're getting them confused with Fish Up Matt.
We
I
look so
don't know.
similar.
Yeah. I mean, you're both. Well, he's a former manager of Maidenhead. You're a current. So yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. I have ADD too. That's fine. We're on the same page then. but yeah, sorry. What was the question? As someone who doesn't know much about you, what's your specialty? Yeah, what's your specialty then, Jonny? What would you say your specialty is?
It's hard to say because I chop and change what I do quite a lot.
Mm.
I think working it, especially running a fish shop, you kind of have to specialize in a few different little bits, the jack of all trades sort of thing. But at the minute, I am just on that shrimp vibe. I'm obsessed with them. But shrimps, live bearers, general community fish is where I'm at with all my tanks. Barring the 6 foot, that is South American cichlids, big Oscars, things like that. So yeah, I just I dabble in everything, and then I can have a broader sort of knowledge. Well, yeah, Chloe's right. Yeah, guppies. That's definitely one of them.
Yeah, guppies. I've blanked. Yeah, yourself, yourself and Harry are rubbing off on me with your shrimp antics at the
Excuse
minute
me.
because your shrimp antics have kicked off, and you're like, "Oh, Galaxy this, Carradina that," and I'm like, "Oh my god, my head's like frazzled because I've kept cherry shrimp." But I knew, to be honest, until I met yous, I knew there was other Carradina shrimp, but I didn't know there was this many. And I thought the most premium shrimp you could get was a crystal red. But after seeing the type of shrimp that you've been getting into shop, them black galaxies and stuff like that, oh my god, it is. I tell you what, I seen them yesterday. I wanted some, but I've I'll bite my tongue and wait until I'm able to give them an appropriate setup. I don't want to put them in with the new Scarlet Badders. We've traded the Tiger Darios. Unfortunately, we just couldn't sex them yesterday, could we?
Yeah, that was
they're a nightmare to
that
sex.
was difficult.
Yeah, unless I bought like 20 of them and hope for the best, I don't think there's any chance. And the tank isn't big enough to get that many fish. So, yeah, just to let everyone know, that Black Tiger Dario setup is now a Scarlet Badder setup. So, there you go. So, can we see more of the tank, more of Jonny's tank? What fish and filters, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, if I can bring this back a little bit, this
I
is
think you can flip the camera maybe.
it's probably better
I'll
like
make
this.
I'll put your solo
I can.
layout. There you go. So we can see you've got an
That's
army of
kind of
coming
fully,
there.
in the shop there. But again, this is just a mixed community tank. So it's 5 foot long. I think it holds just over about 300 litres. I think there's about 20 albino male cherry barbs in there. Red-tailed penguin tetras, they're a rarer tetra. Albino peppered corridoras. Tons and tons of orange cherry shrimp. I think I've had this line going for about 2 years now. So it's really kicked off.
I can see my blueberry tetra chasing each other there.
Oh, yeah. They look absolutely lost in there.
Yeah, they look so small in there. But, like, it's great.
Well, I'll hopefully get some more, and then they'll do that sort of side-to-side show.
Yeah, like George Farmer had. He had a bunch of them in a giant aquascape. I'm glad that they're in there. Just to let everyone know as well, you'll find out in the video that comes out when the wood sinks. That I've traded off. Well, I got rid of my blueberry tetra and got some more raccoon tetra just for the more natural approach. And also, I think blueberry tetra deserve a longer tank like that, and they're going to thrive and they're going side to side, especially when you get to school up in bigger numbers too. But yeah, stunning tank. What's the foreground plant? So the foreground plant, Martin, is Crypt Flamingo. Am I right, Jonny?
Yeah, Cryptocorn pink flamingo. Just as easy as any other cryptocorn. But if you want that sort of, I mean, I can try and run a little tripod here. But if you want that really vibrant pink, you need a really high light, quite intense, and then either root tablets or some sort of soil underneath your substrate.
Yeah, I'd love to keep that plant alive, but I don't think it's happening in this new setup. It's full black water. accidentally.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the ones at the shop in my display. Like they're growing, but they're not that nice pink. So it's kind of a little bit pointless having that plant in there, but really easy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, nice to see me in here. Everyone's saying hello to her. Yeah, make sure you say hello to her. We are going to be changing that crib setup soon. Me and her have come to an agreement that we're fed up with it. It's the first time you know what? I'm on like I've hit a brick wall with breeding. I can't breed nothing. I'm trying. I've done a specialist tank for the crebensis, and crebensis you just add water, no breeding. And the beta setup, no breeding. Hopefully we get some breeding with the baddest, but don't know.
Yeah.
I'm able to breed cories, but never keep the fry alive. The fry never hatch. Yeah, it's just have you got any? You know what? We'll switch to the topic then. Since nobody's asking any questions, I've got some topics in here. Topics on breeding. So obviously you run a fish shop. You're a very knowledgeable gentleman. Have you got any advice to myself and people for like breeding?
I mean, if you're starting out, bristle nose, super easy. Literally, if you're buying the little babies, you can't tell what sex they are. Just get a group of them, feed them up for a good, probably, if they're really small, good 8 months to a year. And all they need is a cave, boy, girl, and that's it. You're guaranteed virtually to get more. Quite a popular one as well. So if you were wanting to try and get like some sort of store credit or like sell them online, most people want some sort of bristlenose. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people are drawn to the zebras and everything that's rarer because of the price. But if you're breeding something that everybody wants that's cheaper, you're probably going to make more money. So
yeah. I
obviously
think that
guppies, nobody needs to talk about them.
yeah,
Boy,
just that
two
water.
girls, bit of water. But yeah, I mean, I'd always advise doing breeding in its own tank. A lot of people, especially in the shop with angelfish and crebensis especially, oh, can I get a pair? And oh, right, what have you got other fish in the tank? Oh, yeah, I've got X, Y, and Z. Why do you want a pair? Because they're just going to beat the living heck out of everything once they start breeding.
Yeah, that's why I've made sure like you can keep other fish with like crebensis and bream, but it's got to be the right ones. So I've got Beckford Eye on the top, so like they're not gonna go anywhere near. And then I've got a bulldog pleco that just stays in its cave all the time. So they'll have that free space and no predators. Obviously, they might still push the fish to the other side of the tank, but bar that, I wouldn't
Yeah,
see
I
any
think I
issues.
think as well. If you're wanting results from it, then as soon as the lights go off in a community tank, those babies, especially if they're free swimming, they're just snacks for everybody else. Which it's one of those with live bearers. If you can put them in that tank and it works, I think that's a good sort of balance for everybody. It's a nice, healthy ecosystem because that's what would happen in the wild. They have all these babies in one go each month, and only a couple might make it. But if you really want to crank out babies, then you're better off just having its own little tank.
Yeah, I think that's where people like go wrong when it comes to breeding, and maybe they get disheartened. Like that, people will go zebra pleco. I'm gonna spend X amount on zebra plecos, and I'm gonna like breed them and make thousands of them. Yeah, you might do, but by the time you do, you've spent thousands on them in food.
Yeah.
You've spent so much on the setup and like keep. I think like for prolific fish breeders as well, it's more of like a side project because you're just gonna have to leave them for years until they actually mature. The chances. I think someone in the shop page recently commented saying, "Can I get 8 mature zebra placos or something
Oh
like that?"
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
like a
you're
crazy
asking
request.
you're asking for a genie to come out the lamp there, and that no one's gonna give you 8 mature adult zebra placos. You've got to be very lucky or fortunate if anyone gives you anything more than an inch.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to skip the the actual work as well of getting young ones like everybody else has to raise them up and hopefully have that boy, girl, and a chance at breeding. They just want to go, nope, I want to pay. I don't even know how much they would have wanted to pay, probably 20 quid. And and just cheat their way there. But, I like raising fish. I think it's a really interesting part of the hobby. And especially if, you are going to try and make something off breeding fish, it feels good when you get to that result where they are big enough to sell or, trade, whatever.
Yeah. I think the only thing I've ever bred successfully is shrimp, because Neocaridina, probably the easiest thing I'd recommend to anyone to breed, and swordtails, and I only had I just swordtails, but they were in a community tank and only one survived out of probably I don't know how many babies.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of them. I want to get into it more because I know it'd be really good to document for people, but it's also something that I want to get into more because I think that's probably my next step in maturing in the hobby, is cracking on to like understanding breeding that bit more. Because obviously, if I want to provide people education, I need to learn every little bit and bob of the hobby. I know the ins and out about basic treatments. I know the ins and out about all the common and the bread and butter and stuff like that. Obviously, me and myself and Harry have been venturing into your shop going, I want this rare fish, and you're like, I'll try. But
That is like, rubbing the lamp and me coming out and saying, okay, your wish is my command.
well, funny enough, actually, one of the topics that I've written down is about that, actually. So, how has having people like myself and other YouTubers affected the fish keeping world / the retail side of things?
Oh, it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. I got that message. Oh, we're coming on Wednesday. I've got the fish delivery on the Tuesday night. So I'm like, right, I've got to make space for the fish, got to clean those tanks for the fish. And I'm like, and I probably need to just clean every other tank just a little bit to make sure it's nice for his video. And yeah, I knackered myself out just that little bit. But do you know what? I don't mind it. It's
No.
it's essentially free advertising. The flip side is, of course, if your tanks are awful, say awful, if they're covered in algae or you've got dead fish or this, that, and the other, and somebody just walks in with a camera and posts it online, you're going to look bad. But
It's like a hit.
at the
It's
same
like a hit
time,
piece.
maybe it raises everybody's game up. Possibly.
I think
We
like
had. Sorry, go on.
I think like it's crazy the influence that like YouTube fish keeping or Instagram has on the hobby now. I remember just before lockdown hit, or like a year or two before lockdown, Aquarium Co-op was making like videos, and they were talking about epistogrammas, the cacatoides, which is the bog standard when it comes to pistos. I was scavenging all across the northwest at the time. Obviously, I didn't know the people that I do now and have the contacts that I do now, because at the time I was a bit more of a lonelier fish keeper. But
Yeah.
I could not. I was calling every shop under the sun, and everywhere nobody could have them. Nobody had them. And eventually, I walked into my local Maidenhead and they went, "Yeah, we don't have any." And then I found one. I found one in the corner of the tank, hidden under a rock. I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" I got
Yeah,
a picture
there it
of
is.
it. I was like, "Yes, I finally found one." I took it home. I was like, "Oh, why is its fin a bit drooped?" Years later, I now understand that it had a deformity, and that's probably why it was the last fish in the tank.
Yeah. I think that's
But
that's what happened to Harry with those red lasers that he ordered. They were like, oh, there's 7 left in stock. And he's like,
yeah,
oh, finally, I found them. And then they're
all
like, the
female.
person on the other end's like, oh, yeah, we finally sold these female red lasers. But, yeah, a pistogramma just, for me, and my customers just aren't popular. I don't know why. They're a
I'm
beautiful
really,
little fish.
I'm really surprised because I walk in and you have some beautiful ones in at the minute, but like you don't tend to get a lot of dwarf cichlids in, do you? You get the hidden gems and the rare stuff when you can, but like when it comes to the dwarf cichlids, you just don't get any. Is that just like you were saying? Just nobody local seems to be
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it before. I mean, the only ones that seem to sell really well are German blue rams.
the bog
Even
standard.
Crebensis
Yeah.
aren't very popular. You know, it's the old fish keepers that bred them years ago that want to keep them again. But
Mm.
pistos just for some reason are just like bottom tier. Nobody cares about them.
So like in the sense of this question anyway, in the general census of this, like obviously I'm small in the grand scheme of things. I'm not big. Maybe locally I'm starting to get a little bit more like reputation, but how would you say like my influence has maybe affected your shop or like the shops in your chain?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, from the obviously your video, Preston is just flying,
I
and
don't know
from
why.
what yeah, I mean, from what Sam said, he's had so much interest on all these different fish that he's got in. So that is a massive one. I mean, our shop, I've not had anything really, but then the first video we did, we had green tanks, pre-fish delivery, they were empty. There was nothing really like, wow, I've got to get down there, I think, but I could be wrong.
Hopefully, obviously, once our video comes out, I'm sure that will. Yeah, I think the best thing and like what a lot of shops need to do is like embrace the YouTube or the social media influencers and allow them to come in, because if you're able to get your personality across, people will be invested in you. And of course, I
Yeah.
think that's what happened with the Preston one, is that they seen Sam talk about stuff with his knowledge, and if you hear about someone talking about the knowledge stuff like that and the educating during the video, they're like, oh, if I go in, I'll maybe get that education myself, or I'll get that experience and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think, of course, that's what's going to come across really well in your video. Of course, we're just teasing that now for people that don't know
Yeah,
that's coming
yeah.
out. You've got a question there for yourself.
That's another one that for our shop is just not popular. I mean, rainbow fish, other than the smaller varieties, are quite expensive, compared to like tetras and things like that. But we have had a tank of Bose Marnies for probably nearly a year now, and I couldn't tell you the last time that we've sold any. It's sad, really. And you've
It's
got males in there that are like fired up and showing all the best colours, but everybody's like, yeah, I'll have 3 neons, please. So, but
it's
yeah, I mean, on memory, I think we've got like maybe about 6 different types of rainbow fish. Even the little pseudomogils, the paskai, red neon paskais, beautiful little nano fish and pretty cheap. I think about £4. Everybody just walked past them. I'm just like in shock. This bright orange and blue fish is just not getting the time of day.
I think
Which,
that they're one of the like rainbow fish that are automatically like coloured up as well. So like you'd
mm,
assume they would sell. I think like I've put the topic there, local fish keeping. Round here, the rumblings that are coming back round here at the moment seem to be the increase of shell dwellers and rainbow fish, particularly.
mm.
Speaking to Keith, Aquatic Fanatics, he was saying that a lot more people are, you know, getting into rainbow fish and giving them the time of day, because they're one of them fish that, like I've said in previous lives, or decibarbs even, they're a type of fish that you've got to be patient. They will colour up. It's just a waiting game, and it's just, you know, I think if you like we've had conversations in the past, when someone walks into a shop and they're new to the hobby, if they see something grey and dull, they're going to walk past it. And if it
Yeah.
maybe if they've been in the hobby for a while, but maybe they're not it as involved as like the likes of myself and the people in here, and they just the light bearers or just neons. If it's coloured up straight away, then it'll sell, innit?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think compared to other systems in the shop, we've got 24 tanks of live bearers. You take any of the other 24 tanks on any other system, live bearers are where it's at for us at least. We're constantly in those tanks netting fish out. It's just unreal. I mean, I can understand it, but it'd be nice to sell some rainbow fish or even Congo tetras. Again, you have the nice males starting to show colour, and everybody just moseys on by.
Congo Tetra are definitely gaining some popularity. That's another fish around here that has been really difficult to get a hold of, because I was speaking to Steve from Wirral Aquatics, because he was saying that he was ordering some fish in for his shop, and he said, "Oh, I really wanted some Congo Tetra for the display." Yeah, he said they used to be cheap as chips. Nobody wanted them. Now they're very expensive and nobody wants them. So nobody's ever
Yeah.
really wanted them, considering a beautiful fish. I don't know why, but of course I think there's been issues in the local area with wars or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I do
affecting the
wonder as
fish.
well if people just don't have the tank sizes anymore. We don't really sell a lot of big tanks now. It's definitely the nano tanks that seem to be selling. I'm pretty much flying out.
It's the new
Um,
era, innit? It's back in the day, everyone started with huge monster fish like yourself. You've got some bigger fish uh, from when you first started, and you've still got that love now. But people that come into the hobby now are like, what can I get that's cheap and cheerful, in their mind, when it isn't? But
mm,
cheap and cheerful and easy to look after. So do you get something like what I've got there and go, okay, I want a goldfish? And you're like, well, no, you can't. And then you've got to give them that education and say, well, there's the nano fish. And then that's the new gateway. I'd like to hope that if you can push more people going towards getting some little, scarlet baddis, or getting some shrimp or something like that, then that'd be way better. Someone's just asked a question. What about rice fish, Medeka? Are they getting popular? I've noticed globally they are, because they've caught my interest a fair amount. I'm not sure about your shop, because I do know you sell some.
yeah, I mean, I love them. They're very similar to the different guppy strains you can get now. There's so many nice and different Madakas that you can get hold of, but I've tried them, and we sold a couple, but nothing crazy. Um, Not like, say, trying the shrimps. The shrimps just flew out. Whereas rice fish, yeah, not a lot of people really care for them. Even cheap and cheerful Javanese rice fish, which to me are basically a lamb pie, and nobody's looking at them. It
It's
just seems to be the I don't want to say basics, but yeah.
So Stefan's done a good question here, saying, "Do you have any predictions for upcoming trends?"
Ooh. I mean, I think we'll just keep going down the nano tanks. At
Yeah,
least in our area, shrimps just seem to be the main thing at the minute. But um, at some point, maybe Malawi will come back. That has sort of dropped for a good couple of years. Just after COVID, I think we had a few people as far as I think past Manchester that were saying like nowhere else stocked them, but now it's next to none on people interested in them. But again, that might just be don't have big tanks anymore.
yeah, exactly. I think bar the Shellies, I haven't heard much Malawi wise. I think it's just it's a fish that will always be about, just for the sole factor that they're one of the closest fish you'll get color wise, maybe, to marine. Um,
Mm.
but I think the issue is now is that maybe a lot more people are getting into community fish and wanting, like myself, get the Noah's Ark going, get as many different species of fish in one tank that you can logistically. And yeah, I think that's probably the major put off, because when you get Malawi's, it's obviously the hardness of the water first of all, and then the
Mm.
parameters, and then you can't have any plant steal, destroy your plants. Maybe Anubius or whatever, there's a couple they won't touch, but majority of plants are a nice meal for them. And then, of course, anything that isn't their species too. So, from experience, I've had a family member that I told them it was not a good idea. Don't put the goldfish in with the Malawis. Put the goldfish in with the Malawis. That thing was shredded in it. It lasted a week actually, unscathed. Then one day, boom, destroyed, ruined. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean that's the downside to the Malawi. As beautiful as they are, most of them are a big fish. You need it, probably at least a 4 foot. You've got to pack them in, like you see in the shops, loads in one tank to just reduce the aggression. And that means obviously you need big filters and a lot of water changes. So yeah, I mean I've seen people do, somebody shut their Malawi tank down and brought us some adult bristlenose into the shop. And he said, "Oh, yeah, they've done really well with them." And then I looked at them and I'm like, this is meant to be a male bristlenose, and he's no bristles, and his fins are all tatty. He's survived, but it's not.
it's
And
not
that's the
ideal.
downside. They're just so aggressive, but beautiful fish in their own right.
We've got like a bunch of questions coming through, to be fair, so I'm quite happy that we've got an interactive chat here. A lot of people chatting away. Medeca in Asia, totally different quality. Then we get in the US and they're starting to get better. We're finally getting some more varieties. That's really cool, Christopher. How big is the killifish community in the UK? You know what? I I don't hear nothing. Locally,
No, no.
nothing.
I know a few people, at shops they trickle in the killifish, different ones, but they've got the stigma, all of them, of being annuals, and oh well, some of them might be like 20 quid, and you're like, oh well, I'll only get a year out of it, but it's not really the case, especially not for all of them. Like the rocket killies, clown killies, they're stunning little fish. Again, I had somebody who searched far and wide for little rocket panchaks from Manchester, and no one but us had them, which was bizarre because they're a little staple in our shop. But I would always tell people, if it's the right setup, yeah, get some little killifish. Maybe don't do some of the bigger ones with shrimp because
Yeah,
I mean it'll be a happy killifish, but the shrimp will be hiding in a little nook and cranny.
yeah. I think I definitely want to try killifish out. I've never actually kept any. That's actually a fish I don't think I've. Wow, that's like actually just clicked for me. I've never kept killifish. I've
Mm,
had them in the shop I worked at years ago. I got my cousin to keep lamb pies as well, but I've never kept killifish.
not you.
No, you know what? If touch wood, if the badders fall through and I can't get nothing from them, I'll get a net over the top and I'll try clown killies because I have wanted for the longest time to try them fish. They're beautiful. They're another fish,
Mm.
automatically coloured up. You've just got a stigma of being annual, as you said, and a lot of them are. But I think if you do your research, you'll be able to find like the Australis. I think they live for 2 years. Maybe they live a little longer than
Yeah,
that
yeah.
too.
I mean, I think as well, a lot, all that is based on where they come from in the wild. The waters where they live dry up and the fish died. Whereas, obviously before that, they breed and leave the eggs in the soil, and then the rainy season, they hatch. So in an aquarium, in theory, you should get more life out of them than a year. But yeah,
I
I mean,
think
you
I
could
watched
do
the.
the golden wonder killies in the tank behind you. The bigger tank. If you had a lid, they're a beautiful larger fish.
Oh, don't stop. You're like, right, let's get this sale. I'm kidding, I'm
And
kidding.
I know a place that's just got some in.
I wonder. um, yeah, I watched the guy actually simulate the life cycle of a killifish. So, like, he drained the tank down and dried it out. I don't think. Did he
Mm.
actually? Did he actually kill the fish? I I
This is
think
for
he actually.
science.
I think he actually did. He like
Rest in pieces, Bubbles.
yeah, like I think he genuinely did. But what he did is like he drained the tank down and then let it dry out. But the fish had already bred and laid eggs. So like whatever like insects like took over, like ate the fish, and then like after like maybe a year, he filled the tank back up. or like 6 months or something like that, and like it filled up, and like it was a really cool video. I don't recommend killing your fish for content.
Yeah.
I can't. Don't quote me on that. I can't recall if he actually did kill it, but I think it did die when the water got like low enough. It didn't dry out with the
He
with
didn't
the
just edit the video.
yeah,
1 minute
yeah.
the fish was there, and the next it wasn't. You're like, he's murdered that fish.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I think I actually remember something eating the fish. Anyways, I thought I knew clearly what I was doing. Clearly, I don't. Axolotls are pretty hot right now. I fully agree. Talk about axolotls. You'll get to see that in our video. Johnny's shop specializes in breeding them in a nice, beautiful display tank.
Well, yeah, we're trying our best. We're trying our best to raise the babies, but yeah, definitely Minecraft. I think that is the sole reason that they're so popular, especially when we first got the adults in that display tank and had that first spawn. The amount of people that were like, "Well, how long will it be till they're ready?" I don't know. How long's a piece of string? We'll try. We'll try. And it was like every week. Well, can I reserve one? I'm like, well, maybe no, because we might lose it for It's what happens with Fry. I was like,
Yeah,
just keep coming in and fingers crossed. But I mean, they're an easy pet. They're definitely an easy pet. They don't need a massive tank, but they don't do a whole lot. So I can see, kids getting them or the parents getting them for the kids, them loving them for a week and then being like, it doesn't do much, and then
they
getting
don't.
rid of it.
They don't. They don't move, do they?
No, I mean,
Um,
when I was probably about 3 years into working in the industry, we had yellow belly sliders or yellow belly turtles, and because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, every parent was getting them for their kids. And at the time, obviously, I think I was 15, maybe 16 at a push. Um, they were just flying out, and then eventually, when they start growing, because everybody thinks they're a tiny little turtle, they just bring them back, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're on the invasive species list now. If you've Harry probably knows Stanley Park in Blackpool, they are living in there all year round now.
yeah, it's someone's just sent me a message request on Instagram. Okay. Yeah, bit weird. Axolotl were huge over here. The scale back in popularity. Yeah, Krista, I think I've seen you post some pictures of your killifish and the Discord. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Thanks to Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft is creating the trends. What next? Are they going to add angelfish and everyone will get angelfish again? That'd be nice. That's
Fingers
another fish I've
crossed.
never kept. I'd love to keep angelfish. I've never actually kept them. You know what? I think a lot of people on here don't know this. Maybe you've joined a little later on. You probably know me now as the guy with the Scaper 90 and the Nano Tank and the two of my girlfriends. But I had a Fluval Flex for 5 years. Let that
Mm.
settle in. 4 years, 4.5 years. Let that sit in. I've kept everything I possibly can under some bread and butter. So I've been rotating fish for quite some time, and yeah, it's I kept fish through my cousin though because I got him into the hobby, and I was like, right, I can't have any more tanks. You keep this. Yeah, he couldn't keep the he couldn't do couldn't do a great job of keeping them alive, but he could not breed blue dream shrimp. Oh my god, he bred like hundreds, like unlimited amount in this tiny tank. It wasn't even a 12-liter tank, and the whole tank was just blue dream. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He's done better with shrimp than I ever could, but yeah, maybe he's the better fish breeder.
Maybe shrimp
Invertebrate
breeder.
shrimp breeder, yeah. Same back here in
Yeah.
Vancouver. You can see them in every pond. Creek broke down. Nice see Craig's Catfish Cave in here. So it seems like we've gone strayed a little off on a tangent there, but we'll go on to. Whilst I was talking about how long I've kept fish, we may as well go for yourself then. When did you like? I know that you've been keeping fish since you were little, but like, when did you seriously like get into keeping fish?
Oh. I mean, I think it's always been there. You know, as I've said to you, when I had that goldfish bowl, it wasn't long before I had a second and third on the go, and I've always kind of had just multiple tanks going. I think probably when I was about 14, because I started keeping fish when I was about 11. I think when I was about 13, 14, I would go to the library. This is how old I am, you know, going down to the library, not just Googling now, and going to the pet book section and just taking out loads of fish books just to learn what I could keep in the tanks I had. Now I didn't do it right because I remember there's one book and it says, you know, oh Oscar, like how many can you have in one tank? Maybe one, and it'll say a minimum size and it'll be like 4 foot. So I'd write down like, oh, I've got 4 foot, so I can have one Oscar, and then I find another fish I like the look of. I'm like, oh, I can have one of those as well. And eventually, it's like, yeah, you wanted to put 20-foot long fish in a 4 foot tank. So yeah, but you know, I showed interest, and I think I've improved now. You know,
You
I've got
think?
tiny fish in a 5 foot tank. But yeah, I would say the sort of addiction, if you will, probably I want to say about 2018. You know, I think when I first started at Maidenhead, I already had a little fish room going, and it just snowballed from there. It was crazy, but I've done all different things. I like to change it because I kind of get bored. You know, I had the torpedo bulbs that were in the shop for 4 years, and they were in the 6 foot in the living room for 2 years in the same scape, and I kind of thought, well, it's a nice tank, but I'm bored of it now. And I think if you're bored of it or you lose interest, it goes with all pets really. You should move them on, you know, to somebody who's going to really love them. So
Exactly.
yeah,
If you can't find someone, just take them back to the shop. I'm sure the shop will be more than happy. Especially, for example, yesterday I come back with them blueberry tetra and didn't realise how good I've been feeding them because I brought them in and they look like Rottweilers compared to the little ones that have come in fresh off the shipment. So
yeah, the little baby ones.
it was the same when I rehomed my Pandagora. I don't feel like I think that was one of the longest fish I kept, and the longest fish I kept now is my gold lasers. That's mad, isn't it?
Mm.
And yeah, the Pandagora was like wham. All the other ones were like that, and it was just this unit. And yeah, I'm sure people go, wow. So that's how big they actually get. But yeah, make sure you rehome them to someone nice, of course. Then blueberries are now in your tank and living the best life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like having you know, the rehome fish. You know, again, you know, with the Oscars and big sailfin plex, it's good to be able to show people that see the little babies and think, oh, that's cute. I can get one of those. And like, you know, this is that fish down there. And they go, what? The face literally drops. And you're like, yeah, let's go back down here, away from
Baby
the big
Oscars are
boy
worth
fish.
for it. They look like little black and white clownfish sometimes, or they look stunning when the babies. Obviously, they look stunning when they're adults, but like they look really cute and sweet. Like, oh, that's a nice dwarf cichlid. Yeah, that dwarf cichlid's getting this big, mate. Um, uh, smirking on stream. I'm a little lost. That's ADHD for you. Um,
Give
in
me
that
one
case, then,
second. I'm just going to put this wire into my phone.
are your battery going? So everyone, whilst Johnny's just getting his wire, we've if you haven't already, make sure to sub to the channel, make sure to check out the videos. There's a playlist for all my content. If you haven't joined our Discord, there's moderators in here that will put the link to our Discord in the chat, so you're more than welcome to join if you haven't already. And of course, obviously, we've now got the topic here on what is your ideal beginner setup. So I'll let you talk first from a fish shop manager's perspective. If you had like, of course, obviously, there's people that want the decorations and stuff like that. But if you had full control, if a person walks in and goes, "Give me everything that you think could set me up for success," what would it be?
Goldfish bowl straight away. I mean, it depends on, obviously the size of the tank and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you don't even have to go crazy with it. But definitely, assume you're not doing Malawi or Oscars, live plants all day long. And they do so much work for your aquarium. Um, Adam's distracted. The blueberry tetra.
No, I just heard like a noise. I thought one of the fish jumped. This is the issue. If you have an open top tank and you've got it next to your bed, be prepared to feel like you're at SeaWorld because the cories splash everything.
Well,
Darters
at least
in
you don't have
fire.
any shrimp because they'll be climbing out.
Oh no, I do have two bamboo, two Amano. I haven't found any on the carpet as of yet. Quite lucky
Oh, yeah.
for
But
now.
yeah, that would be my main one. Is just live plants. You know, assuming we're not going too specific on what fish you're keeping. If let's just general community tank, I would just get a nice layer of aquarium soil in there, sand on top, so you can do those bottom dwelling species like Corydorus and rams, things like that. And yeah, just do as many plants as you can. You know, even
Yeah,
if it looks a little bit naff for now, getting the smaller stuff, they'll grow in eventually. All this Anubias, it's 6 years old. It was all, I can't remember how many pots I bought, but it was all bought at this normal size you'd see in a shop. And some of the leaves are huge now. But
it
yeah,
does.
they
It
do a
does
lot
look.
of the work.
I think someone mentioned a good point in the chat saying that they recommend the bigger the tank, the better for like a beginner because at that point, if you've got the Noah's Ark syndrome like myself, in the past, getting everything you possibly can into one tank, it's good for them to maybe have that, but also manage the parameters too. Because of course, for example, if someone gets a nano tank, then they'll end up trying to put about 10 beta fish in one or something like that. Something outrageous where they just put like 20 cardinals in a 15 litre and you're like, that's not great.
Mm.
Maybe the bigger tank. And as well, obviously, parameters say if you've got a heavy stocking, or maybe you're not so like clued up with testing or your parameters, it's easier to maintain a bigger tank, I think.
Oh yeah, you've
Than a
definitely got a
smaller
lot
tank.
more leeway there. Absolutely. The only trouble I
Harry's.
would say is that, like me, you get the bigger tank and then you fill the bigger tank like you would fill the smaller tank. So you can't. Yeah, it's a little bit of a fine balance,
Like you were
but
saying to me
taking the
yesterday,
time.
cramming 18 raccoon section. I was like, that's a bit crazy. You're like, no, that's perfectly fine. You know what? Me a couple of years ago would have been perfectly fine doing that, but now I'm like very picky, and I'm like, I want it to look like this and this. That's just the evolution in my hobby at the minute.
Mm.
Um, I guess maturing is realizing having a very active tank is maybe not so good on the eye. Maybe I'm leaning into aquascaping a bit more. I don't know. I'd like to be educated a bit more. That's why I'm trying to do a video with Joseph and the fish keeping Ginge, and maybe one day I'll meet the likes of MD or George Farmer or someone, and they'll be able to fully tell me the ins and outs of triangular compositions and the golden eye and all that stuff. But for
Yeah,
now,
I mean, all my tanks for me now are oh you all my tanks usually I start from a corner. So when I'm scaping, I work left to right usually, or wherever you're going to see the tank. So like in the kitchen, I'm coming from this, the other end. So I want my eye to be sort of led across. But yeah, it's the hobby. You do different things. You get, a little bit stale. You want to try something different. That's good. It's how you grow and how you learn.
of course, if you stayed with the same thing for years, fair enough, you might be a very loyal person, but you won't learn as much. Me, like flipping and swapping fish around every couple months or something like that. It, I hate that I do it because I want to keep fish for a long time, but I'm like something will catch my eye and I'm like, I might just
Yeah.
flick. might just have to go and get that. Yeah, I'm getting that. Like the blueberry
But
Tetris 6 months ago was the greatest thing of gold dust. And I was like, oh my god. And then then I was like, the goodbye to greater adventures because I just wanted that rotation. And then I come to the conclusion that maybe I should just keep more of what I've already got. I've got 4 tanks now. I can get away with
yeah, you've
flipping
got a
and
little
stuff
bit more
around.
wiggle room.
Yeah, compared to
Yeah.
once you were flex.
I mean, even for me, again, I've kept fish for 19 years, and with the Oscar tank, on paper, you think, okay, Oscar's big South American cichlid. You want them with similar size South American cichlids, should be fine. I got these ones, started with 3, happy as Larry, and 3 Sebrums. And the Sebrums were beefy. The Oscars beat the heck out of them. I had to bring them back to the shop. And then, like I say, I now know that it's not always this set out rule. Sometimes you've just got a nasty fish, or just not the right setup for them. But how we learn.
So I've put that there as like a topic on how did you learn to aquascape? Um, I'll go first because I think my answer is a bit shorter than yours because I know that you've probably got a bit
I
more
like to
lore
waffle.
behind yours. Mine's just like YouTube education. Um, yeah, no, mine's a lot of influence and by the likes of. I think when I properly started getting into aquascaping, I started with George Farmer, and then I went on. No, I watched MD, but I went to George Farmer because I really liked his video on the Takashi Amano display place. That video was
Mm.
like a massive eye opening for me, to be able to see this. I did read a couple of books here and there. I do also have one on my shelf that I've never actually looked at. George gave me that for free in the shop, and yeah, no, it was just like the idea of making your tank look natural. I really loved, but then like allowing it to I still don't I'm nowhere near clued up when it comes to these. Maybe I've tried with a triangular composition with this. Um yeah, I've done like a triangle composition with this one behind me. So like this one's my latest one. So I've put everything that I've ever learned into that tank. But like in the previous ones I didn't. It was just more so of I done a really nice aquascape, but I realised as well that maybe the issue with aquascaping was sometimes it's just not ideal for the fish. I had an aquascape for Crebensis, and the Crebensis destroyed it because cribs, if they're not happy with the setup, they will make themselves happy with it by rescaping the tank for themselves. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they were digging craters so they could breathe in between the rocks that had set up perfectly to look like a mountain. I was like, no, and I kept covering it back up, and they kept breathing, and I was like, no, stop it. So in the end, I lost the battle, but yeah, I think YouTube mainly, a little bit of Instagram, but that's where I learned, and then my aquascaping journey was like I've gone more so back to aquascaping, but I like the idea of having it the perfect fish setup, but the perfect aquascape. Well, not the aquas. I like the fine balance of having an aquascape and a fish setup in the in between, so it's
Mm.
beneficial for the fish's behavior and health compared to just looking visually appealing to myself. Because you could have a beautiful Iwagumi setup, but then have a pair of epistogramma that are like, "Where's my cave?" and they're just glass
Yeah,
surfing.
yeah.
And so that's where I'm at the minute. I'm in that farm bit in between, but I don't know about yourself, like where you learn to escape. Like what's your journey in escaping and aquascaping?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I actually know how to aquascape. I don't know. It's like you don't know how to do breathing. You kind of just do it. It's a weird one. Um, I like that aquascaping is completely different. It's kind of like the fish side of it. Everybody does what they want. Everyone's drawn to their own thing. But yeah, I mean, I've always had live plants in tanks, even if it's just like a bunch of Velodia just sat in a goldfish tank. Um,
Yeah,
And then I think it must have been YouTube, and just seeing not even aquascape tanks. Like I don't consider this a really aquascape tank, but like just planted tanks, and kind of just picking it up from there. And then I don't know, just learning the different hardscapes and things like that. And say I just kind of just do with my tanks. I don't know.
That's kind of how I feel. I felt like this one there was a lot more thought into it. Obviously, Harry done the drawing. I was like, I want to do this bank thing. I was maybe influenced by a couple different aquascapes that I'd seen over the internet and stuff like that. And I was like, how am I going to make this piece of wood work? But in the last one, the last one was purely me just winging it. The last scape on this, it was just like, I've got this rooty piece of wood, and I wanted it to have a cave and be nice and like have plants behind it and stuff like that. But like that was more of a planted tank than an aquascape, and I tried to make it an aquascape, and it just didn't work. Obviously, learning through the likes of MD, how he does things. Obviously, there's people before him that have done it, but him and Fish Up Matt doing these like the aqua soil on the sand, and then you're like, oh, so maybe I don't need to do like just aqua soil on the top, because I feel like that's dead, and I haven't seen that for quite some time now, where people just do purely an aqua soil tank with just the plants in. Because I think maybe
Yeah.
when I first started in the hobby, like early days, like maybe 2018, 2019, that's when I started. 2019, yeah, the 29. So yeah, 2019, early 2020. The 21, yeah, it was 21 when I done my first like aquascape tank. Because I tried messing around with different pieces of wood, but it wasn't aquascaped. It was just I have all these pieces of wood and plants, and I just thought it was Noah's Ark syndrome. It was just plants, rock, plant, rock of everything that I've ever found. There was even a random coconut from Pets at Home with a Nubius on that looked great, but that that was in there. Because I wanted everything natural, but there was no continuity, and
I
I
had a
don't.
tank exactly like that. Literally, I bought like one of every plant, and it looked nice if you didn't know what you were looking at. But it did look like, if you knew what you were looking at, it did look like a bit of a train wreck. But
Yeah, yeah. I remember I done the aqua soil setup, and yeah, it was fine. But I found like quickly, because I'd done that setup, and then like I think I was early days watching MD, and I gradually got more into him, and like he started capping off the aqua soil with like sand and stuff like that, and I was like, and he was explaining that that's like a better way to keep the nutrients for longer, because obviously it spreads out underneath the substrate and goes into the sand then, and I was like, that's a better way, because when I done the initial aqua soil setup, it worked great for maybe the first month or two, and then the nutrients just went. And it was like a
yeah,
really cheap brand, some like Asian brand. I don't know what it was. And
I
yeah,
always find as well with that not having the cap. I've always struggled planting in those little soil balls. Find the
yeah,
gaps are too big, and they float back up. I don't know if that's the same for you.
yeah. I found that an issue. My biggest issue was having and I'd obviously went on to capping the soil off, and I then realised that you need a thick enough capping layer, otherwise you'll just have the the aqua soil balls like rise up through the substrate. You're like, oh no, now it looks ugly. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
I had that with this tank,
the
and
approach with
I
this.
just ended up putting another 10 kilos of sand on top of it, and then hoovering the leftovers out because
It's one
it
way to
drives
do
you
it.
mad. It's like if you had a car and you had one little scratch on it, your eyes are just drawn to that little aqua soil ball.
Yeah, that was my biggest issue with the previous setup. I had I had too much in it. Like the substrate layer was like that, and I was like, I need to lower this. So I siphoned half it out, and yeah, that just caused more issues, and then little aquasoil balls started rising. So this time
Mm.
around, obviously, I've used the Tropica substrate. Only used a tiny bit. You don't need to use a whole lot. Use that, and then I capped it off with the original soil sand mix from the previous scape, and then I put a thick layer of sand on. I've also whacked a load of gravel on top, scattered gravel, but I've put it all on top where there's areas that it might get disturbed by the wood or the rocks or whatever when I was moving them. So this time around it won't break through, and hopefully I won't see any little microscopic balls of aquasoil come through the
Mm.
substrate. Honestly, I find aquascape enjoyable. I think it's just very therapeutic too. I find it absolutely stress and nightmare in this household because I live with my mum who's got OCD, and she kicks off when she sees buckets of dirt, sand, fish all over the place, and she's going, "What are you doing?" And like I've just had my ADHD process where I'm just sat there going, I'm done, but I don't want to move. I'm just sit. There's just a bomb site everywhere. I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's like peaceful in me is because she's like, do whatever you want. It's fine. My mum's like, what? Why's the dirt in the toilet? Why's the toilet bowl covered in like plants? And
Yep, that was my life 14 years ago. Even back then, I had a rack of tanks in my little box room, and I'd literally had a hose to the toilet draining tanks out, and then using buckets to fill them back up, going across the landing, annoying the whole family. Yeah. Now I annoy my family by having fish tanks everywhere, so that's all right.
It's fine. It's
I
your
just do the
job.
water changes when they're out or asleep.
Um, Here's a good one. What is the best cleanup crew? Use magnet. My aquasoil isn't magnetic for some reason. I don't know why. What's
Yeah, I've
your
seen
what?
that. I saw a little tool that you could literally get those soil balls with. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, but I can't find them.
They only work on certain aquasoils that have got like more iron in or something like that.
Mm.
Otherwise, you're just like poking it with a stick. So this topic that I've done here, what is the best cleanup crew in your opinion?
You get that algae pad and get your siphon and do it yourself. I mean, everybody relies on buying sucker mouth catfish to eat the algae or snails, things like that. But ultimately, it's you and balancing your aquarium. But if we're talking, fish wise, again, let's just say community tanks. It depends on what algae you've got. If it's the flat green or diatom algae, then little oxycinchus are great, hard little workers. You know, if we've had some of the pots of plants we've got for a few weeks and they've got a little bit of brown algae on them, throw them in that auto tank, and it's like putting them in a car wash. Give it half an hour, ding, they're done. Chuck them back, they're looking great. So, oh dear, oh dear. That's not my fault. If you didn't know, Harry donated me his pair of honey gouramis, breeding pair that were beating everything up, and I put them in here, and they eventually spawned, which made me really happy. And even in a 5 foot tank, they had all the cherry barbs, like the bottom corner of the tank. And yeah, sadly, the male must have drank a can of Stella or something, and he beat up the female to no return, sadly. But
That's
he's
a
living
shame.
his best life in here somewhere
It's
as a
funny
bachelor.
because again, it's just one of them fish that are sold as like super peaceful community fish,
Mm.
but as soon as you have them breeding, yeah, it ain't happening. They will protect their young.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's the male that does it. The female is cast out. She's a threat to him as well, and that's why I think he's done it. But I thought this was really like overgrown, and I thought she'd be absolutely fine with all this plantage and hardscape, but no, he's just been awful. So yeah, but
every fish
yeah,
has
I
got
mean,
to
going
live
back
with
to
it, so.
cleanup crew, Pandagara, if it's a slightly bigger aquarium, are quite good.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, really big tanks, leopard tailfins do a lot, but a lot of people don't realise what goes in must come out. Especially with the plex, especially with
yeah.
the plex.
Fish ain't gonna change your water for you. Fish ain't gonna clean everything. I think like if you want stuff that'll do the general algae, Amanos are good. Corys are good for getting through your substrate, turning over your sand, and eating any fallen like food that's fallen down to the bottom, so you won't have anything rotting around. Coolie loaches, of course, obviously you won't see them in the daytime, but at nighttime you'll wake up and your substrate will be nice and turned over and cleaned. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's,
they're
as you
just the
said,
worms, aren't they? The garden worms of the tank.
yes, it's little noodles they are, aren't they? I'd love to get some more. I was looking at some yesterday. I come home and I was like, oh, why didn't I get some more coolie loaches?
I think as well, though, for a lot of these, like especially algae-eating species, they need to be hungry to actually do the work. You know, especially with things like flying foxes, Siamese algae eaters for blackbeard algae. Um, they don't really want to eat it. They'll eat it if they're really hungry. So it's getting that fine balance of not starving to death, but also not being, bloated from eating too much catfish pellets.
Exactly.
It's one of those, if
Um,
you can, pick up a bit of food whilst you clean the whole house, or you can wait half an hour and someone's going to deliver you a fresh pizza, you know which one you're going to do. You're just going to sit there and go, yeah, here it comes. So, try to do
so
every night.
you'll swap over to the next topic. What would you say that you enjoy the most about the hobby? Of course, working in a shop, how that like affects your hobby and stuff like that. Would you say
Mm.
that's the best part about your hobby, or would you say like being at home with your tanks, or maybe getting a customer, like seeing the progress with a customer, for example, like a customer's come in and maybe they started with that SpongeBob tank, but now they're like, um,
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think we've all been through it with the fish keeping hobby. You go from highs and lows. I've had it where I've had like 12 tanks on the go, and I get to a point where I'm like, I can't be bothered with all these tanks. I need to just rein it down a little bit. And it's kind of like that with work because it is the hobby. You know, I get a little bit of sort of um, deflated sometimes, but for the most part, it's the only thing I can think about is either fish or the fish in the shop. So yeah, it's good in that sense, but you never turn off really. So it's one of those. But I mean, I've had it, before with a kid, first tank, and he bought my favourite, a pair of the premium guppies, and he reserved them. Let his tank sort of cycle over, or wait until it was mature enough for them. And um, about 3 weeks later, he's telling me that they're breeding. He's really into it. See his little face lighting up. To the point that he started bringing me some back in. I thought, wow, that's great. That's really nice to see. Again, you have the complete opposite end of the spectrum where you get people that don't listen, or you see their tanks and you're like, how have you ended up with all these different fish that shouldn't work? But I really like the education side of it.
mm,
I'm not there to police what can and can't be done out, like to a point. It's a learning thing. What should work might not work and everything like that. But yeah, I love working in the industry. I love having tanks at home. Goes hand in hand. But nothing beats new fish on a fish delivery. I've got to say that.
yeah, I know that feeling. And little sneak peek for everyone else. I might know that feeling again. But yeah, that's a little teaser for everyone. Yeah, I can imagine as well that like it probably like the most exciting part or the best part about your hobby too was like relating into like seeing how customers are progressed is like maybe putting Harry on the pedestal here, like how
Oh yeah,
he's gone
yeah.
from coming in to like you've went around to his place and seen all his tanks and went, wow,
Well, look,
like
this is it with Harry as well. He never showed me his tanks. Never showed me one picture. I just knew him as like this guy who's buying all these plants and he's buying all these nice fish and he's doing it right. Never once saw his tanks, and then I saw your video and I'm like, oh my god, wow, that's amazing. And it's quite I'm quite proud to be able to sort of be a part of that. But Yeah, it's really, really nice. But
I
I don't
think
want to give
like
him too many compliments because obviously you know what Harry's like.
he'd be like, now seeing this, thanks though, like in less than a year, credit to you, Harry. You need to get more
Mm.
videos out because people, I think, like your speed run to success needs to be studied. Because I did not, I had all the education possible going in. Because I actually spent a long time before getting fish watching and obsessing over videos and content and other things, and I still ego overload, and I still didn't get the first ideal setup either. I thought I'd done everything, but I knew nothing, and I still know nothing. Oh well, I'd like to think I know a little bit, but like
Just a little something,
thi-
yeah.
this hobby, I think like the thing I enjoy the most is I've done it in my top 5 reasons why it's the best hobby. You are always learning. You are always finding something new. You're always like, oh wow,
Mm.
like, I didn't think a Pandagara would behave like a cichlid until it did, and I had to boot him out. Um, but yeah, it's. I think one of the best parts of the minute is obviously the content side because I've been able to meet the likes of yourself, like Harry, like Sam, and other people, DJ, like Arnold, all these other like crazy people. I go, the list goes on. I've met so many people, and the fact as well that doing this has also built the bridge for me to then meet the people that educated me all those years ago, like Fish Up Matt, like MD. I haven't met them yet, but meeting these people and actually having conversations, phone calls, and all that, it's like
Yeah.
how have I done this in less than a year? I've went from being the person sat there watching all the videos, and now I'm on the phone having a conversation. I'm like, what? Uh, it's like mind boggling to like try and compute. But I think my favorite part at the moment is educating people, like you said, and that like probably that will tie into the job I'm going into, because I enjoy that. I like telling people like not what to do, just telling them the right things,
Yeah,
learning
the best
from
way.
learning from my mistakes that I like.
Mm.
I've had to go through all the hell so I can put people on the right path because I went through all the hell and got my cousin set up with a tank, and he okay, he's lost quite a few fish over time, but like he hasn't like neglected them or anything like that. It's just been like a case of maybe they've just not worked or whatever, or maybe he's been busy, hasn't done the water change. But bar that is success with the plant growth, with the breeding of the shrimp and stuff like that. Like setting someone up and giving them the starter pack, and like I was on FaceTime to him, telling him how to escape the tank. He wanted me to help him do that and all that, and that
Mm.
now I've recently aquascaped the tank for him, and it's like it's just really rewarding seeing that. So I think educating people, um, I think being able to make videos at the minute about it, like being able to share it, like you said, um, like you said, you never see in Harry's tanks, and you just knew him
Mm.
as that. Like I went running around, going, look at my tank. Maybe if I held someone hostage long enough in one of the fish shops, and they had the time of day to go, oh, he's in here again. Let's see what he's on about. Now I'm able to get that picture of my tank and show everyone it now. Like that. That's the enjoyment I've got at the minute, being able to speak to like-minded people and build that bridge across and get more people into the hobby. Hopefully, that's me rambling out the way.
Yeah.
Tying into what we've just said, who do you watch on YouTube?
I mean, mainly aquarium co-op. You know,
Yeah,
I
so
love his vids. Um,
Corey's just a great personality, isn't he?
mm, yeah, I mean, you can learn a lot from that guy's channel, especially with for me on the business side of it. Um, for shrimps, Chris Lukup, definitely, he is the
Mhm.
shrimp king. You know, he does some amazing videos going out in the wild and actually filming these shrimp in the natural habitat, which is quite amazing. Um, obviously yourself, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I think there's only really two other ones that I'm sort of avidly watching, which would be Keeping Fish Simple and Predatory Fins. Although I
Yeah.
don't sell big fish, I like watching their unboxings and their tours.
Mm.
It is crazy what they sell in the US.
Yeah, the US. They've got a lot less regulations, although snakeheads have now become a widespread issue. Um, so that's a case of people not knowing what they're doing and just dumping fish in warm water, and they will live and they will repopulate. I think I seen a video somewhere in like a creek in Sydney was like keyhole cichlids, and like they're not native there at
Oh,
all. But they've been living there for maybe a couple of years, naturally just breeding and living in this little creek with loads of like leaf litter and stuff like that. It was nice. It
yeah.
was
Well, I
really
mean,
nice to see, but obviously you're like, it shouldn't be there. It looks great.
yeah, it's all the knock-on effects to the native wildlife.
Mm.
Again with the turtles in the UK, turtles eat fish, they eat bugs, so they can decimate a pond, and then obviously breed and breed and breed. I'm surprised that apple snails are allowed back in the UK. They were banned for years, absolute years. They're still banned in the EU, but Brexit means Brexit. We want our apple snails back, and yeah, it's crazy, but interesting.
I watch. So I've already said a few. MD Fish Up Mart, Aquarium Co-op, Keeping Fish Simple, Aqua Pro, the MJ Aquascaping. Oh, there were so many. It's coming to me. Flew the Flower Horn. Catch them all. No, I'm kidding.
No,
Oh,
I'll be like,
you know
yep, and
what?
I'm going.
I watched them before I got into the hobby, and the fact that I was saying this guy does not have a clue, because I swear he said, "Oh yeah, this golden arapaima crossbred with this parrot cichlid." I was like, "No,
Mm.
no, it doesn't work like that." Who
Yeah,
else?
there's a few of those YouTubes that I've stumbled across, and I'm just like, oh no, this is awful. And then obviously YouTube's like, oh, you watch this? I'm going to recommend 5 of their videos now on your homepage. I'm just like,
Fish for thought as well. Um, oh god, there is the guy that does the story behind, and like he does it with loads of different fish, and like he does like a 30-40 minute video on each fish. What's his name?
I don't know that one.
American guy. I watched the video last night on Crebensis, and it was a good one. He was talking about how like the common crib, like when someone orders a common crib, they just get it could be anything because it's mixed with so many different like species. Same with bristlenose. The common
Mm,
bristlenose isn't a real fish. The L236 that's in my tank is not a real fish in the wild.
mm.
It's it 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 might have originally been, but it's been bred with like a fish from like down the street and then up the road. So like it's something else. Chloe's done a good question. I'll get onto that now. She also said Aquarium Adventures. Yeah, Graham is great. If you could change one thing about the hobby, King of DIY, yeah, I've watched him. I still occasionally watch some of Joey's videos. What would I
Ooh,
change about the hobby?
that is a tricky question.
I've got an answer straight away. Gatekeeping. I think gatekeeping is probably the way like it is the worst issue. New hobbyists when they come in. I think I was speaking to Mal in a previous live, saying about like he didn't know about like these auctions or these clubs or societies because like oh no, it wasn't even Mal. It was Steve from We're Aquatics. He told me that before he got, I don't know if it was Preston or another place, but before he got into like he was a breeder originally, and nobody had talked to him, even though he was like a prolific breeder. Nobody talked to him because they were very these old like druid looking guys like Gandalf that wouldn't say a word to you, and like you'd ask them about something and they'd be standoffish and said it's invite only to go to these auctions and stuff like that, and eventually he got his way in there. Like I think this stuff needs to be thrown away. The ways of the old need to go out. You need to get as many people in. If you get these fish auctions going, it's great for the hobby and local hobbyists and breeders and stuff like that. If you just like cutting people off and not allowing them to be a part of these things, how do you expect the hobby to stay alive? You're just killing it, I think, slowly in that sense. I think it is transitioning gradually, but yeah, I'm still yet to go to a fish auction or society, to be honest. The only one I went to was the Fish Club in Maidenhead, Preston. That's it. That's the first time I've ever been to some kind of event.
Yeah. I mean, I would say a similar thing, which is just, online. It can be so hateful.
So toxic and hateful, honestly.
It's ridiculous. And I mean, I remember I was in a I won't name it, a very popular Facebook group for the UK. And this was, probably when I was about 18. And I posted a picture. I'm dead happy with myself. 15-litre tank, planted with just one Siamese fighting fish. One Siamese fighting fish. And the actual, the creator or founder, whatever, you want to call them, commented with a picture of a coffee jar, half gravel, the rest water, and a fighter in it. And people were just being awful. I actually left. And that mentality is just like, you are not helping. One, that's a drastic sort of comparison, but like for anyone who's going to get better or learn something, they're just not. Yeah, be quiet, Harry.
I think
it was Habbo Hotel, actually. If you get that reference. Or MSN.
I remember posting a picture last year or the year before. I bought a bristlenose pleco and put it on Facebook, and it was sold to me as a pitbull pleco, and it was a young juvenile bristlenose, and I was saying, oh, this was sold to me as a bulldog. No, not pitbull pleco. It was sold to me as a bulldog pleco. And I was like, oh, I believe this might be a bulldog pleco. And a guy genuinely started swearing at me in the comments, called me like an imbecile and an idiot, and like I have no idea, and like I should get out the house. I was like, Jesus Christ, you took a pee in your cornflakes, like relax. Like
Yeah.
I'm only saying, like, this is what it was sold to me as. I'm not even saying, look at my brand new bulldog pleco. Of course, I have no idea. It looks more like a bristlenose. It was funny as hell. I think shops that sell tanks to non-hobbyists and sell fish right away, teaching them the nitrogen cycle is unfortunately common. Funny enough, I've said this before. My pets at home was actually quite good. They didn't sell me fish on the day. They went, have it set up for a week.
Oh.
They went, have it set up for a week. Here's 3 cardinals. Don't add anything for 2 weeks. Then add some. And I was like, wow. They genuinely gave me good advice. I was like, it just depends on where you go. It's like
yeah. I mean, I've had people tell me before that from that same chain store that they bought a tank and they were told to put fish in it the next day, and then the person that was selling them stuff the next day was like, oh yeah, and you want this, and you want this, and you want this. And then they came into and spoke to me, and I was just shocked. I'm like, really? But they have the little iPad that tells them what to do. That can't be right.
The point system, yeah. The interrogation that you get in there, considering they don't really care what the sound here, is funny as hell. I think someone said in a previous live that they asked if they're renting the place, and if they are, they're not allowed to. That's none of their business if someone owns or rents. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm renting.
I mean, it does,
sorry, skill issue. You're not allowed any fish.
It does make people lie, though. That's the trouble. If you are like you say, kind of gatekeeping fish, really. If you gatekeep it that hard, they are just going to go in and be like, okay, what do I want? Okay, yeah. How big's your tank? 7 foot. Okay, right. And then the lie will just continue. But yeah, I don't know how they work out the point system. That beyond me and my knowledge.
Yeah,
One neon poops 1 point an hour. Is that a thing?
I'm clueless. Yeah, clueless as to how they've done that one. Let's see.
I would say as well though, with the new tanks, it's a very controversial topic. Obviously, doing in tank cycling or cycling it beforehand with ammonia and things like that. But just and it goes back actually to the beginner tank. Buy the test kits. You just buy them. I know a lot of people. I'm a little bit cheap. I don't want to spend, let's say, 25 quid on the full range because I might not use it that much. And I can spend 25 quid on fish, but it's just so essential. It's like if you don't have it, you're driving with a bag on your head. Like, you might be able to see through it a little bit, but you're more likely to have a crash. So yeah, just on a little side tangent.
Yeah, I fully agree. Just get that test kit. I went raw without a test kit for years. I genuinely did. In the past year, I've bought a NT Labs test kit. It's very cheap. You can get them on Amazon, and it does everything. Of course, there's many other brands, but that one, it's
Or at your
perfect.
local Maidenhead.
Yeah, there you go. They do. Yeah, it's great being able to test and see now, because now I'll know reasons rather than assuming why a fish died, or assuming why the plants are dying, or assuming why this is going wrong. Just get that test kit, or if you're that stubborn like myself used to be, go and bring water samples in, and then have the conversation why. Um, I remember I had like a full blown tank wipe, and I couldn't explain why. And I had the water parameters tested. Here's the one thing Petrome's good for. If you've got one closer to you,
Just the one.
there's a couple, but I'll say like the one thing, in my opinion, that's useful is
They let
where
you
you don't
stroke
have
the
test.
bunnies.
Yeah. And you go in and you can get a test for free. Just go in there. If you got one, if you got a Petrodome closer than your local fish shop and you don't want to buy a test kit, just run to Petrodome, wait your test. They'll do it. They've got the strips. Obviously, they won't do the little bottles. But if you want a quick reading, you can get that done for free. Just test your water, honestly.
Yeah, I find a lot of people don't realize that water literally changes on, every day. Oh, well, I bought some fish and they tested the water and it was fine. Well, the water might change by now, or should have changed by now. But yeah, I have one lady, and bless her, she'd said she'd lost a fish or something like that, or I think she had white spot in her tank. And I said, "Oh, have you tested the water?" "Oh, yes. So we have somebody who tested it." I went, "All right. When was that?" "Oh, 3 weeks ago." "Oh, well, you can bring us a sample and we'll test it free. It only takes a minute, and then we have a good idea of maybe why you've got white spot in there." "Oh, it's all right. No, no, because he tested it. It's fine." And then I'm trying to like educate her and be like, the water changes as the fish go to the bathroom, and she's like, "We don't get the water from the bathroom. We get it from the kitchen sink." And I'm like, holding back. I'm like, yeah, all right, have a nice day. Okay. I was just like, Well,
See,
yeah, always test your water. Like say, if you're having issues, it's the same with
yeah,
having medication on hand.
if you've got a perfectly set up cycle tank that's been going fine for a while, and you like that's where I was okay, because I was able to judge off I'd be able to visibly see if there was any issues with the fish. And that's a way you can go about it. If you don't want to test it, just watch your fish. You'll be able to see if the glass surfing, maybe the flicking, maybe the like rubbing against stuff, or maybe they're not eating properly. Just watch your fish, and that'll also give you your answer to what is this? I noticed that test strips were more common now these days. When I was fish keeping, they were not recommended because they're often inaccurate. I don't think they've gotten better. I just think a lot of places or a lot of cheaper brands like on Amazon or something like that have hopped on the bandwagon. Because I bought a test strip kit from Amazon and I used it, and I went and took another test. I was like, oh, this is perfect. There's nothing wrong with my parameters. Well, I think it said my pH was like 8.5. I was like, eh? And I took it to the fish shop. It was like, oh, it was just a solid 7. It was like, yeah, I think there's a lot of inaccuracy. I just recommend getting the normal, tubes and the drops. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
Unless you get
yeah.
a bad
I mean,
brand.
I must say I'm the opposite. So I've had both, and I used the liquid one once, and that's it. It took, especially with like I think 6 tanks, it does take a long time to test for everything. I guess if you're just doing nitrate, then that's quick. But I like the test strips because you can literally just go boop, and there you go. You should have a rough idea.
Yeah, I think
But
that's another key part. I guess test your water if you're new to the hobby. Just do it because unless you like an advanced hobbyist or you've been doing it long enough where you understand that there's issues with the behaviors or you can visibly see things and you've got an eye for it. It's a thing that I've actually I've told Mia about. Like she goes, oh, she's learnt now. Although she had the test kit available to her, she go, oh, I know when to do a water change now. I went, why? Well, the pencil fish, they go a little pale. I was like, you know what? I'm glad that you've noticed that because at least you're noticing the difference in the fish's colour behaviour. Um,
mm.
I guess some people recommend rummy nose for that because they're like a canary in a mine shaft. The red nose disappears when there's something off.
Do you know I actually had a nitrite spike, which obviously must have had ammonia spike in the big display at the shop once, and the rumminos were coloured up like there was nothing wrong, which
Oh,
is the
wow.
polar opposite to what I've been told and heard. But yeah, it's crazy.
Aqua soil leaches ammonia for up to 6 weeks. Great start in the nitrogen cycle and not so great for the inhabitants. Good tip, Ginge. I'm gonna make sure to write that down so I don't forget.
Yeah. I think as well with cycling tanks, doing, not in cycle, in with fishing, you don't really know how many fish that ammonia you're putting in and cycling the tank before you add your fish. You don't know how many fish that is equivalent to either. I've never done it really. I've always done in tank and tested daily to know. But yeah, it's one thing that I've always sort of wondered, like, how do you know that amount of ammonia you've put in won't then have an ammonia spike when you put your 6, 12, whatever it is, tetra? Well, I mean, if anybody has done it, that'd be interesting to know.
So, have you got any unpopular opinions?
Unpopular opinions.
Ones
Parrotfish,
that you
they're
are allowed
beautiful.
to say. The ones that you're allowed to say, that won't get you in trouble.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. That's a weird one. That's one I'd have to really think about. Um, I mean, it's not really unpopular, I guess. Well, it will be for some people, but is any fish, I think, realistically over that sort of 2 foot mark in this country shouldn't really be in the hobby. I don't know many people that have a tank that will do that sort of fish justice. But again, for me, that's not unpopular. That's just kind of like you're looking out for the fish there. But yeah,
Do
I
you
don't know.
have any recommendations for Aquasoil? What's worked well for you? Aquasoil that's worked well for me and I've had instant success has been the Tropica Aquasoil. I've used Fluval Stratum and capped that off. It was god awful. I know other people that have had great success with it, but it was just awful for me. the nutrients run out very quickly. I don't know why. Any other recommendations?
I'm on the Tropica. Every
Tropica,
tank I've done is Tropica. Mainly as well because it's cheap.
If you want to use the substrate, you can't obviously just whack this on. It's more of a soil that's meant to be capped off. There is like little wood chippings and stuff in there as well, but this is really good if you do a decent capping layer and make sure that it doesn't leach through too much. So if you want to try that, that's what I'm trying now, because I found that aquasoil is good, but the longevity of it is just not great. So I like I was saying earlier, Stefan, having just a pure aquasoil substrate rather than like sand or anything on, it doesn't last too long before you have to start putting root tabs in, and because it's an aquasoil and the balls are like quite fine, they might end up breaking down and becoming like murky and messy, or it might even like be an issue where the root tabs might come up, because I had that being a large issue. Chloe's asked a good one as well. What are the common challenges you face in maintaining health and balance of your fish tank? Wow. Blackbeard algae. I hate it. I hate it. I can't get away from it. I don't think there's any in there, but I hate it. Algae's fine. It doesn't affect your fish health, but visually it's horrible. Depending on which one you get. I do like the moss ball one. You know, the one that naturally grows in your tank.
Oh yeah, the cladophora.
Yeah, just develop your own moss balls. It's sick.
Yeah, I mean, the only one for my tank is duckweed. You know, a health issue, not really, but like with you and now, you know, the blackbeard algae, duckweed is the bane of my life.
Yeah.
Because you missed that one little bit, and you give it a week, and it's like this tank. I cleared it, and you can see, hopefully, you can see it's just floating across the top, and eventually it'll just cover it completely.
Duckweed is unkillable. I got sent duckweed in like a dried packet from eBay, and I was like, "Why have to give me that? It's dead." And I put it in my tank a week later. Boom! I was like, "Oh, it's great for removing nitrates, but it blocks all the
Oh yeah,
water out
yeah.
and takes over."
The other thing is as well with 6 tanks, if I use a net in this tank and then don't make sure it's crystal clear clean, it's going to be in another tank, and that's the problem with it. It's so invasive.
Is that why you only probably use the net on that one and then put it in the 6 foot? Because then your Oscars will stranded the duckweed, hopefully.
Do you know what? The Oscars will eat anything, absolutely anything. I haven't tried them with duckweed actually, but they've destroyed the valve, the cryptocorns, the whole lot.
Harry's put, I use Tropica substrate. Looks like dirt. It's a lot of pain. It leaches a lot of ammonia, but it great result for plants. Don't use as much very nutrient dense. Burn roots. Tropica soil. Someone saying there. Fluvial stratum is rubbish and expensive. And what are the signs that a fish may be stressing unwell? Chloe coming up with all the good questions here.
This is Harry getting her to be able to spot all the issues in his fish room when he's not there. Boom, like you with Mia.
I think yeah, because this is the thing. I'm quite blessed. I think Harry is as well with Chloe, that our partners are quite involved with our hobby. Obviously, Mia has to be. She's got 2 tanks in a house, and I'm not there to maintain them all the time. I think if your fish loses its colour suddenly, that can also depend as well on stress. Maybe another fish is chasing it down. Rapid gill movement is one as well. Flicking, gasping at the top as well. Being quite lethargic, not eating. It's just,
Yeah,
I think,
that's quite a common, you know, an easy to spot one is them just sitting there not doing much, especially if obviously they're normally active. I think the best thing to do is spend a good 10 minutes watching your tank. You know, assuming everyone's happy and healthy, and then you'll know. You'll be like, oh, Jerry the little catfish isn't normal today. He's being a little bit funny.
he's swimming sideways
Yeah,
under a piece of wood.
He's just sleeping back there. He's just sleeping.
What's this one? Oh, there's a lot of comments. Hang on. There we go.
It's everybody telling me how bad this shirt is.
Not yet. You do look like
I'm a dad. It's a dad shirt, this.
You look like Tom Hardy in the new Venom trailer. The only
I'll say that's a compliment.
stratum for is build and height. Tropical substrate is elite. Written by AI. It's not. Thanks, gents. You know I have to ask every guest. Has anybody Colombo soil? I've heard about it. I've never used it. I want to use. I couldn't get my hands on it. What's the stuff that is it Colombo that MD uses? That powder stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I really
we used it once in the shop in an Evolution Aqua tank. It was, I think, 3x2 tall. Worked really well, really well. It was the only soil at the time we stocked, and then the price just went stupid on it, and that was it. We were just like, yeah, let's sell through and be done with it.
I definitely want to try it.
It's very similar to stratum, at least look wise. It's those little balls, isn't it?
Harry said I can't ask anymore. Chloe does more water changes than I do. Being dad is the biggest sound, Chloe. But yeah, I think with that, we'll probably end it there. We've had a really good live. We've went almost 2 hours.
It's gone a lot longer than I thought it would.
I did say to you 2 hours max, and I thought,
yeah.
Whilst we're still a lot of people in the air, I thought we'll end it on a high note. We've had a lot of questions, very interactive chat too. A lot of people asking all the questions and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we've had a good one. We've covered some good topics. Just to do a little bit of promo as well. Me and Jonny have a video coming out. Hopefully this weekend. Hopefully, Matt. Hopefully this weekend, and yeah, it's a really good one. It's a refilm of what we done last time. Obviously the mic went wrong on that, and it's a really good one. We get to see a little bit of insight, a bit more detail. If you've missed Jonny's answers, there's quite a lot of things that we discussed in that video. Some interesting topics and things that Jonny's really passionate about in that video. So make sure to check that out. It's good little insight and a good little way to see Maidenhead Blackpool in all its bright colours, compared to the previous video that I'd done, because obviously I caught you on an off day and you just thought I was a guy that was going to film your rocks.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it was just bad timing as well. You know, the day before the fish came in, and the day before the plants came in as well. So it's like, they have some really hidden gems, but they don't have much. But yeah, I mean, it was perfect timing this time. Day after a fish delivery, tanks are looking nice. The plant, obviously, you came in. Yeah, you came in whilst I was doing the plants, which was good timing. So yeah, it should be a good one. I'll be honest, not the keenest on being on camera, but I think you do a really good job. So
I appreciate it. You've done a good job tonight as well, Jonny. I'd like to get better at being a better interviewer. Hopefully I will. I'm still, getting there, trying to get my questions up and stuff like that. You know me, I'll write a Bible in my notes, but then it comes to interviewing time. But I think this has flowed really naturally. It's been like quite a good direct conversation between myself and you. I think a lot of people here have got some good topics and learned some things, and heard some things that they've been wanting to hear, really. So make sure to check out Jonny's Instagram and YouTube. It is, as you can see there, Real Fish Keeping 101, is it?
I did that.
It's in the title. You'll see. I can't see your stream yet, but yeah. If you haven't already, people in the chat, if you could, moderators, drop the link to the Discord for people who want to be a part of our community. It's ever growing, very active, we're always talking, and I'm on holiday next week, so this will be the last time you'll see me until I'm back. Hopefully before I'm on holiday, this would sink. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to sink until I'm back, and maybe even then, it might have to come to the point where I'm just going to have to release a video with a rock on top of my aquascape. But yeah, make sure to check out Jonny. Make sure to check out Maidenhead Blackpool, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All my socials are on there as well. Join our Discord. Be a member too if you want to see behind the scenes, trying to get more stuff out for that too. And yeah, until next time, appreciate you all being in there. Until next time, hopefully we can get a live with myself, Jonny, and Harry, and that'd be a good dynamic for in the future. Yeah. And I'm hoping to do a live with Keith and Glenn on a substrate specialist live. But until next time, everyone, take care. See you later. Thanks for joining us. See you later. Peace.
Peace out.